Well, hello people who
Don't do it.
probably
Don't
love
do it.
this guy.
Okay.
Do you have any fans out there?
I don't.
All right.
My
There-
mom actually likes me a lot, so maybe.
you had a couple of subscribers who are your fans. They're like, yeah, that
Every
white
time-
guy.
Every time, like, ever since you've been doing it by yourself, every time I get on here, they're like, why is that white guy something? Okay. Yeah.
Well, you have partial fans coming, right?
What?
What?
Okay.
All right. So there's a lot of stuff going on in our League of Legends world, and but all things considered, the Warriors are still going to win the NBA championship.
That is completely relevant. Yes, I agree.
And they're going to stomp these kids. So what happens if the Warriors win 4-0 in the finals and G2 smash... Oh, wait. Spoilers. Oh, my goodness. All right. So we have the MSI playoff recap. Oh, I put highlights in here, but I have to work on doing that in our video, so possible. All right. So Team Liquid faces IG, and he said IG were going to smash them. I was like, Team Liquid was going to win. And,
Okay, this is
the
just
prediction god.
Not even true anymore. But okay.
I was like, it's possible for them to get a game. And I said if they did get a game, Jensen would play Orianna or a mage.
You didn't say that.
I said Orianna.
You didn't say anything. This is just.
He's
untrue.
just making stuff up now.
I'm not. This is not true.
Okay. I said Orianna. I'm pretty sure I did. No, I said they could get a game, and I said Xmithy would not need to play Hecarim.
We didn't talk about any of this.
God. Okay, so yeah, Team Liquid face IG, and one side of the bracket you could say, did IG choke or did TL just play better on the day? Or you could say, yeah, that's pretty much all you could say.
I mean, there's an option. I think that the whole series comes down to a few things. I think one thing was I don't think the drafts themselves were bad on the part of IG, more so as how they played them. They forced what is 1-3-1 comps into consistent team fighting. Like every single one of every single one of their solo lanes won. I think pretty much every single lane was winning almost most of the games. And that should come down to win, honestly. I don't understand how it turned out so poorly for them, but I think the biggest problem with them was they consistently tried to force team fights on a comp that was built or designed around not team fighting. I mean, the one game they got was with a Gnar. Like a Gnar in top lane and a LeBlanc, which are moderately decent at top lane and can still split push. They would have been fine choices, but
if I were them, I would have just chosen that same comp, just switch up the bot lane and the junglers for the fourth game. Well, they might have actually gotten another win. Because they got a win off stuff they didn't even play. Gnar hasn't gotten played in God knows how long.
Yeah, but Gnar is Gnar. I mean, it's not hard to play him.
Mm-hmm. I think IG may have come in maybe off a bad day of scrims. Maybe they were losing to everybody, and then this was just the bad day we saw them.
I don't want to take hypotheticals into the scenario because I don't know. I mean, I think the situation was first, again, they forced team fights into a comp that's designed around 1-3-1s, which was stupid, but whatever. On top of the fact the Shy in this entire tournament has been pretty terrible. If anybody, I think the Shy coming into the tournament was probably the best player in the world, and we didn't even see him as the best top laner in the league this tournament this time. Not even top 2, I don't say. Like, all around, I think the Shy's underperformance, maybe he won most of the lanes. Like, I don't think you can take that away from him, but at the same time, like, if you look back at his on-hit Nico games during the Team Liquid
semi-final,
it was, well, it's just whatever, the series. Like, if you look at that, he missed almost all of his ults. Like, I don't even know
he's better than that.
Yeah, I don't know if he landed any. Like, on top of the fact, Impact played the team fights drastically better. If we saw Impact on the Nico, he landed like a 3-man snare and then into a gigantic ult. Like, he won them the game in the first game.
Were you trying to make a pun there? Impact on the team fight, really?
I'm not. Are you getting a point that
God, he just like because if I don't point it out, he'll be like, oh, I made a punny.
I did not make a joke. That was on accident.
I think the most big de facto for Team Liquid in their series against IG was Core JJ. Played just one of the best support series I've seen in a very long time.
Well, I mean, again, Core JJ was the best player in most of the series. I think that you can't take away from Impact because I think he was a moderately close second. But for the most part, everybody else was getting dragged along.
Like Jensen, he kind of redeemed himself for a few of those team fights he had.
He had one singular game where he was decent, and even then, he still lost the lane pretty hard.
I mean, to be fair, it's rookie.
So I don't want to give Jensen credit because he was the worst performing member in the team.
And he's supposed to be the upgrade. That's the thing.
He was the worst performing member. Even Xmithy, who, if you look at Xmithy's first game, he was down. The reason they actually won the first game was because Ning actually tried to pull off a few ganks at the beginning of the game. and he sat there for a little bit longer than he should have on warded bushes, so they never fell for it. Whereas, and Xmithy, if you look at the thing, right after he stopped that gank, was down 10 CS. Don't know how. He was farming the entire time. Don't know how he pulled that off.
One can imagine. You're the one in the driver's seat, and you're now the one losing.
Well, I mean, I agree. Like, Lee Sin farms faster than J4, but that's a ridiculous thing. Like, he was farming the entire time and somehow still managed to fall behind 10 CS when not ganking.
There's so many things possible in this world.
It's possible, but again, I think that the biggest deciding factor for this, series, again, the underperformance from the Shy, the improper uses of split push team comps trying to force team fights.
Baolong and Ning completely just
Ning
turned their brains off on the day.
Ning had a terribly off performance. Like, he had a few games where he got some... he did get a few of the ganks on. I'll tell you the facts here. He had a few of the team, he had a bunch of counter ganks, that was also impressive, but for the most part, you should never, no one on the professional scene should be getting out jungled drastically by Xmithy. That's just unacceptable. He's not a world-class jungler, and honestly, on the international stage, he looked completely pathetic. He had a decent series for the most part, but, that's only because, again, Ning's underperformance allowed him to look
shine
better.
And you have Baolong, who just So this is the thing I thought about Baolong. Either he broke up with his girlfriend the day before, okay, let's follow that, or he had food poisoning, and then he was trying to battle it on stage, or he didn't have a keyboard when he was playing.
Again, look at Baolong.
Or maybe he just sucks.
I don't think he sucks. He's a decent support, but look at his Alistar engages most of the series. He always went in, and no one would follow him up. He just ended up dying the entire time.
Then he would play Tom Kench, and it was nothing. You look at if you feel like a montage of Core JJ's Tom Kench and Baolong's Tom Kench, Core JJ's would be like, "Hey, this is what you're supposed to do," and Baolong's is like, "This is what you don't do," because he Tom Kench rookie into Oriana's Shockwave. I was like, "What are you doing?" They were leaving. Team Liquid just got Baron. I was like, "Oh wow, okay." So TL pull off probably the third biggest ups. It depends on which type of upset you would follow this up with. This is considerably one of the biggest, probably top two.
In MSI history, this might
I would say in league history, because they were, if it was 90-1, they were power ranked to not even get a game. If percents out of 100, we're supposed to win 99.99% of the games. That's
agree.
how much of an upset this really was.
I agree. Again, Team Liquid did not look like, even though I don't think IG is anywhere near, they have holes in their game. It's obvious. They've been apparent since last year, but at the same time, Team Liquid didn't have the players to pull off an upset, nor did I think they did, but it managed to happen.
I thought going in they had good enough players that could maybe do it, but I didn't think they would do it to the point where they win a series. I thought maybe IG on a bad day would lose 2 games to them. I didn't think they were going to lose the entire series to them. So how does this look for IG going back to the LPL? The LPL fans are going to be pretty mad they lost to a North American team.
If the Shy honestly plays the way he played at this tournament, I don't even think they make it to World. They'll have to make it through points, because they're not going to win They're not going to win the LPL. RNG is going to look pretty decent going into next split, but I don't think they're the top team. I think we're going to have to look towards Top Gaming. Obviously, we have Fun Plus Phoenix still. That JD Gaming looked pretty decent with Zoom.
Yeah, top IG, JD, and what's the last one you said? Funplux. They're all going to Rift Rivals, but yeah, I feel like that IG going back to China, teams are going to be maybe they're not the absolute, dominant force that they are.
Well, again, they were never an extremely smart team. They've always had holes in their thing that were exposed during Worlds last year, in the Fnatic games. They're a beatable team. It's pretty obvious, but at the same time, they're only beatable if you have the players to match them, which should have been the case. Team Liquid doesn't have the players to match them, but the underperformances is kind of what brought up. I think this, again...
But people have always said you can beat IG's bot lane. They're not the most dominant
bot
lane,
even in the league.
They
didn't beat the bot lane, though.
That's the thing, though. The bot lane's actually not even... Okay,
Jacula
played fine.
Jacula played fine that series. It's not like he got shut down at all.
Yeah, he won every single game.
Baolong just literally killed himself a lot of the percentage of the time.
And then Ning has almost never played Lee Sin. He always played carry damage oriented junglers that don't require hyper skilled mechanics like Lee Sin. He always played Jin Zhao, Zac, Sejuani, and this tournament he played Kayn. If he wanted to play an assassin type-ish jungler like Lee Sin, why not just play Kayn again? He got wins off playing. I don't know why he didn't pick Kayn again, but because they didn't ban it. I would just picked it myself. But that's the TL series. They pull off pretty much the biggest upset next to G2 beating RNG last year. You chalk that up with the Kaboom upset. You can chalk that up with the Taipei Assassins upset. You said the Taipei Assassin upset is kind of a little bit lesser now because now that we've gotten more seasons in. But
I didn't say anything.
I thought he was gonna fall for it. He's like, nah, I almost had him there. But yeah, the Cloud9 semifinals last year was pretty much of an upset, kind of, and no one really predicted North America to even get that far.
Do you mean the quarterfinals?
Quarterfinals, yeah. So yeah, I think that if you wanted to rank these, probably about like next year would probably be a good time to do like top 10s or top 20, not 20, like top 5 upsets. This would be probably like number 1, all things considered. All right, so now the next series, which I'm gonna say this was the finals to me for MSI because after watching this video, you guys know what the finals are. You guys know what the results are like. We're just talking about it actually right now. This was the finals to me. G2 versus SKT. It went the full 5-game distance as I predicted 3-2 for G2 because I know going in SKT is better in best of 5s than they are in best of 1s. It's weird because they're actually pretty decent in best of 1s too, but it wasn't shown that this year. G2, as we know, have a really strong top side, and we know that if the top side gets a lead, they just end the game. And then we know that if Faker and Clid get a lead, they win the game too. So it's pretty much whose top side can be the faster pace top side during the game. But that wasn't the case during the game. It was just like, man, there's so many things to talk about. Okay, so what stuff stood out to you during that series?
I mean, again, I think it's a big... I think Faker played fine. I don't think he played completely well, but I think most of the problem has to go on the bot lane. I think that throughout the entire tournament, they looked like probably one of the weakest sides of the map. I think the bot lane, on top of the fact, Khan... There's no reason Khan should not be able to match Wonder.
I mean, but Wonder's really good, though.
But yes, but Wonder is not overly dominant to the point where somebody who is as decent as Khan is should lose that hard. Don't give credit to Khan where... I mean... Wonder when Khan should, honestly should at the very least be competitive.
Yeah, I don't know what mental block Khan has against Wonder or something like that, but
I mean, has he lost multiple times to Wonder?
I mean,
what do you mean a mental block?
Group stage he lost handily pretty hard in group stage.
Specific. I think I'm gonna hope this is just a underperformance on his part because that was just pathetic.
Because this is the second MSI in which he's did this. Like the first time you give him a pass, kind of.
I mean, he didn't look good in Korea this year. The previous year he looked good in Korea coming into it.
Yeah. This one, they said he was going to be a weak point coming in. But then you have, let's see, Teddy one of the most overhyped ADCs coming in?
Overhyped or underperforming? Because again, Teddy looked complete.
It can go one of two ways, actually.
It can't go one of two ways because anybody who says he's not good or at the very least hasn't been good is incorrect. I mean, he looked... The previous year, I think he was one of the best ADCs in the entire world competing with Uzi. But this year, I think he still looked pretty decent, but he wasn't as good as Deft. He wasn't on that top tier. Anybody who says that he was overhyped is just, again, that's stupid. That's not knowledgeable. You didn't watch the games. You're going off of box scores because he's an incredible ADC. He's been one of the focal points of this SKT league coming into the series.
Then you have Mata massively this is probably one of Mata's worst tournaments in terms of performance wise. I don't think I've never really seen him perform this badly. I think in terms of international events, I'm pretty sure this is one of his worst performing international events because obviously since they made top 4, a lot of people really won't focus on that, but if you look at his actual gameplay, he looked pretty bad, all things considered, from his standards, but Core JJ looked better than Mata toward the later half of the...
Core JJ looked better than everybody though. I mean that's just an unfair thing to compare to.
But the bot lane was really weak. Khan just couldn't match Wonder at all. You have games, SKT won games. They won the first game very dominantly because G2 chose to pick Sona Tark bot lane. Oh god. If people need to learn something is you don't pick Sona Tark bot lane anymore. It's just not working.
I mean, it's not bad. I think they played it improperly. G2 picked the Sona Tark in the game 1.
Yeah, that's the one they got destroyed in.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They picked it in game 1, and I think that, again, it came down to the level 1 death. I don't know why he ended up dying level 1. There's no reason for that.
And then they gave up 2 towers and an inhibitor 15 minutes in. But overall, I think Wonder played really well. Yankos has been playing just fine overall the whole tournament. Caps has been playing pretty decent, all things considered. There was a couple games where he was given a Kali. They know you don't give Caps a Kali because that's so bad. That's just an inting in draft. SCT's drafting problems have been a thing throughout the tournament. You have what else has been SKT's plague? Oh, SKT's plague this series was only having their driving force be Clid. If Clid is not their driving force, don't really know what to do. It just feels like he's the whole early game for the team. I don't know. Did you feel the same way I do, honey?
What did you just say?
Do you feel like Clit is just the only driving force on the team for
again,
anything early game related?
I mean, that's what that's what the state of the game is. Tell me another group or team that has somebody besides the jungle forcing these early game skirmishes. Like, you can't think of one because as it is right now, the league is defined by the early game meta of junglers skipping over farming instead of doing that, they go for ganks, which is fine. I mean, it's just how the game is. So that's why Clit is the overbearing driving force behind SKT right now, and he's mechanically gifted, which he would be regardless of the meta. But like again, I think that it comes down to like as much as I like what Clit does, I don't think he is consistently like he outputs consistent amounts of aggression and all that stuff, but I can't only be a driving force of the jungle. This meta has to change for SKT to survive because like they don't have the players besides him like to just sit back and wait. Like Faker needs to be able to.
Faker should be aggressive. That was his thing back in the day. Was being aggressive.
I mean, he's not passive. I don't think anybody's saying that. It's not the problem. He's doing fine in lane 2. I think the biggest problem is that jungle has so much of an impact that you can't be as impactful as jungle on any other role right now. It doesn't matter what you do. So it's literally defined by early game skirmishes, and whatever jungler gets off the gank usually wins the game because that's how much it snowballs right now.
And then you have the series going to 5 games. Wonder did he forced the game 5 with the Gnar pick. And then after that, game 5, Perks chose to choose a bot laner in Syndra and Galio. And that was weird. I was like, are they going to severely punish the Galio and Syndra bot lane? But then you realize their SKT's bot lane really couldn't do that. So then once it just felt like once Caps and Wonder got ahead on their picks, like Wonder had 4 times in this tournament he chose Pyke top and he won. Like, so what happens now? Do a bunch of supports just go top lane now at this point?
I mean, Pyke is versatile in comparison to most supports. I think that you could put Tom Kench up there maybe, but there's not many other supports that have the kind of kit he does. The easy to hit stun, pretty decent. What's it called? Hook.
The scaling damage.
On top of the fact, I think the biggest thing is that even if you're not ahead, your execute is pretty strong regardless. You don't need to build full damage for it to kill at a decent amount. You always have the damage, like regardless of items, to kill squishies. So there's not much you can do. Like it's a decent pick. I think if you want to do anything to it, revert back. No, I don't even know honestly. Like he's kind of designed to be able to go to top lane, to be honest. With his passive.
Some would say, back in my day, if you could assassinate somebody, you'd be a mid laner. That was back in my day when we had skill at the game and we had Faker season 5, right? But we're not. What do I know? I think the game is overall fine, to a certain degree. But after that, G2 beat SKT, and I mean a lot of people had G2 beating SKT anyway, and it was vice versa. It was a pretty 50-50 type of prediction anyway. SKT in best of 5 is just incredible, but. I digress. Now it's West versus West, and I was saying, like, what if we had NA and EU in the finals, and you're like, I would not like that. You got your wish.
I especially didn't like it because of how one-sided it was.
The fastest final series ever. So G2 break 2 records, fastest in EU and fastest series internationally. Also with another record-breaking game this year with IG beating SKT in 16 minutes. Just a lot of record-breaking stuff.
Again, it's literally, like, if you look at the top 15, there's like 5 or 6 just from this MSI.
That's crazy.
Well,
That's ridiculous.
It's just ridiculous because of the fact that the game is way too fast-paced. That's all it is. Like, again, I don't like the state of the game, but it's just definitive. Like, this early game fast pace is why all these records are being broke.
But did you think G2 and Team Liquid would be one-sided? I thought G2 was still going to win, but I thought it was going to be like very, very close.
I honestly, I'm gonna be real. At first, I did think that Team Liquid was going to win because I think that they're, like, again, I think their ability to shut down stronger laners kind of showed versatilities. And honestly, once they get a lead, if you look at their record, if they have a lead at 15 minutes, they have 100% win rate.
It's not bad.
They have 100% win rate if they do it. If they have a deficit. They've won like 1 game.
Well,
actually, have they won? I don't know if they've won any
games.
games. They might not have won a game with that, but again, for the most part, that kind of defines what I thought Team Liquid. I thought they got their style down. I thought they were going to be able to, like, kind of hold back G2 to an extent where they could, like, get past the early game, and then if they got past the early game, I think they would have done fine.
But over G2 are basically just supposed to be a budget IG. And then how do you beat IG and then you don't beat the worst version of them?
Because IG was stupid. I mean, again, we went over their weaknesses. Yeah. And again, G2 played better on the day. They have, like, Jankos looked incredible the entire series. They did the smart thing, which was constantly go after bot lane because they're the strongest point of the team. That's just the
targeted core JJ and Bans. Yeah. Caps. I don't know if Jensen just has a mental block against Caps, but this is just a skill difference at this point. I mean, Jensen said going into the event that Caps was either the second best or, top mid laner at the tournament. He said that Caps is the best mid laner in the West, obviously. I think it's just a mental block or it's just a skill difference. So that's something, isn't it? But
I don't like the fact that he gave up. Like,
he just gave up mentally. He was just like, I can't do this.
But I think the biggest problem with this is the bot lane is their only strength, and if you consistently gank them, they can't do anything.
But that's basically the same thing it was last year, except it was just only double lift. Now
you have the thing about it is they have a mid laner who's supposed to be decent, so they shouldn't have this weakness. They have covered up in terms of previous preemptive looks at the roster before the season. If you look at their roster, you see a large amount of strong people. You see the weakness in mids gets kind of fixed because you draft Jensen, who was the strongest. I would say it was the strongest mid laner in NA last year. One of them at the very least. And then we have the weakness in support getting replaced by a world class support, and you think this could be the change this roster needs to be able to push it to the national stage. And you thought they might be a little faster paced because both of these players are pretty decent at the early game. But
yeah.
None of this thing's translated into reality.
Maybe it's just Team Liquid's playstyle just doesn't fit what they used
your
to
playstyle is defined by the players in your roster, and it always should be. That they picked they replaced their two slowest players with faster paced players and then got slower. I don't know how that happens.
But they didn't make groups that won MSI and switched two players up and then got second.
Wow, because Flash will stop being a team?
To be fair, we had a discussion in his truck because we obviously ride around it. This thing is that we're having a conversation that TL made groups, but that really only happened because Flashwell just got that much more weaker.
They did. Again, Rather was a decent pickup, I think.
It's not that bad, actually.
I think Rather was better than Maple last year, so...
I thought Rather was fine for their games. It was Hanabi sucks. Their new jungler Boogie sucks. That support they have Sushi sucks.
Did you just call him Sushi?
It's Sushi or Sushi. One of the name is. He sucks. 3/5 of the map suck. And what happens when you put a samurai up to a wolf? You get slayed. And what happens when you put a horse up to a wolf? You get ran over. So basically, what I'm saying is that Flashwell just got so much worse. Flashwell just got so much worse that Team Liquid were just gifted a group stage pretty much. Because they went 4-6, and then if Flashwells win a couple games that day, then they play a tiebreaker game against Flashwells, and then that's who decides to get out of the group. But nonetheless, that means nothing at this point. That was just a little bit of a rant. I usually do because I'm just incredibly smart. So yeah, G2 win 3-0. Like I said before, the finals to me were in the semifinals against G2 versus SKT. That probably should have been the finals in general, but because I'd been actually pretty good. If MSI had left off on that, I'd been pretty happy. But this MSI, to me, has just been a kind of a big letdown. A lot of the team's quality dipped, except for two teams, which were SKT and G2.
I don't know if I would say the quality... Well, the quality of the teams obviously has dipped drastically throughout the years, but I think that the biggest problem is going to be the quality... Again, the quality of the state of the game right now. I like fast-paced games to an extent, but this is too fast-paced. This is literally just mindless aggression is paying off, and I don't like it. I'd like some sort of... The Baron timers were the biggest problem for me. I don't know why you extend the Baron thing. You give it so much MR that you can't do anything to it. They literally, if you just stood there and didn't attack the turret, it would kill them. It would kill turrets, and you couldn't do anything to stop it. Well, I didn't know that. That's Baron. That's Baron buff. On top of the fact, the reduction of time between each Baron, the amount of time you have to recover from one Baron to the next one. To be able to set up for it is almost minimal. You are not able to. The Elder Dragon getting a gigantic buff after the second one. The second one is
Well, that's almost impossible to win at the Advent
Well,
one.
no, the first one's still decent, and you can't fight after it, but there's not much time between the second one. On top of the fact, it's gigantic now. It's double the amount of time, and all around, there's not much you can do about it. Like, I'd like at the very least a reduction on these two main objectives. So on like the teams that are behind might be able to stall out to an extent. It's impossible to stall out right now with the state of the game. Like again,
I think they should be less turret plating. Like turret plates can exist, but I feel like there should be a few less turret plates.
Well, I mean, again, that only expedites how fast the early game transitioned into mid game, which I agree is a bad thing. But at the same time, I think it all comes down to major objectives being increased in duration, reduction in the amount of time it goes between them. Like all of these things are they're emphasizing the weakness like of later scaling champs. We don't get to see these like later scaling champs work out as well because again we're not getting to that super late game or one of the teams is getting too fast into the late game. So we're forced into early game junglers or junglers with massive amounts of early game like dueling CC or something that they're able to gank. Like I'd like like the game to slow down a bit. I mean like again, no one wants season 7 again. No one wants ardent meta, all that stuff. I'm not asking for that.
I'm not asking for season 5 where we have,
I liked season 5. Season 5 was fun.
That's a little too slow there.
It was
if
not,
you find just a medium, like season 6 is okay. Season 6 is
season 5 slow.
I feel like season 6 is a balance between it.
I really liked season 5. Season 5 is one of my favorite of all time. I know people like to like season 3, but again, I think that the state of the game, most of the champions were just in a weird spot then. It was just all dueling and all that stuff. Like, again, I think the best season was Season 5 in my opinion, but a lot of people might like Season 6 a little better, I get it.
Because I feel like Season 6 was just a balance between the two, between Season 7 and Season 5. It was just right. You know, porridge, too hot, too cold, just right.
I've watched a little bit. I've read the book.
I hope you watched the movie.
There's a movie on it too, don't even act.
Oh yeah, there's a Dora movie coming up too. You gonna watch that?
I'm gonna watch that.
I will definitely.
Don't
Boots
even
and...
mess with me.
Boots! Right?
Okay, so again, I think that if we want this, like again, I think those are the probable solutions to the state of the game right now. If you like the state of the game, that's fine.
You know, nothing wrong with that.
But again, it's taken a lot of the gigantic macro decisions and taken a lot of the, like, kind of more so meticulous, like, intellectual play away from the game. Those are big words, but I heard LS say them a bunch of times, so I like it.
Oh yeah,
I'm stealing it.
So now that G2 and NA finished top 2 at MSI, does that mean that NA and EU are the top 2 regions in the world?
I don't think NA is better than either one of the 2 regions that were left in the semis.
But does that make EU number 1 then?
I think EU as it stands is benefiting the most from this meta. I agree, but I think that China still is going to beat them come around World Time because I think they are better in terms of mechanical skill, and that's going to benefit them the most.
Well, instead of MSI, which only have the 1 teams going, now you have 3 going. So that's a bit of a different. Well, that's more of a definitive answer to a lot of that too, because having 1 team go isn't, because like Team Liquid going there, people were like, are they really the best team from North America when you had TSM and Cloud9 here too? So that's the type of thing too that those answers get answered at Rift Rivals. But I think for the time being right now until Worlds, EU's number 1.
I'm not gonna go by results based analysis. I do think that EU they did
at worst they're at least top 2 now.
I think that I think that EU would G2 would probably beat everybody in Korea right now as it stands, but I don't think they can beat IG on a great day. I don't think they can beat top gaming either, to be honest. Like there's a few teams in China that would give them a run for their money.
And at last is settled. EU is just greater than NA. Well, they have Laura and Shox in there.
I think that's not even that was decided years ago when they kept going to semifinals while they sat in group stages.
Oh, I mean, you know, it happens. You know, some years. You know, have you ever been on a date before where have your yeah, you go out and grab a girl and you have her sit there while you go and get food, and then you come back to the house and bring her food.
I've experienced seeing that in public, if that counts.
NA is like the girl that you just leave at home and you go grab food and you come back to, but she'll always be there in the groups. But.
I don't even know what in the groups.
See, I have to teach him how to get girls because it's just how it works.
Okay, so honestly, I think that's pretty much it for the most part.
Yeah, this is worse MSI to me. I hope next year's MSI is better because this MSI was pretty terrible. Aside from the 1 G2 series, there were a couple games in group stage that were pretty fun. The Pike Top, I mean, kudos to G2 and Grabs for creating creative drafts because being creative and being flexible Something I always talk about as good players should do, because being one-dimensional really does get punished when someone actually knows how to do it.
Well, you can't punish something if you're not good enough. I think that's the biggest solution to this, but if you're at an equal level, I agree with that.
Yeah, because Team Liquid, the one-dimensional style they were trying to pull off, again, they did the same thing again they did last year. They got criticized for it, being one-dimensional.
I mean, I don't think they're one-dimensional. I just think that, again, their play style specifically is punished because of the, like, on top of the meta. It punishes them drastically. I think that they just don't have strong enough laners to compete. I don't know if it's one dimension instead of just not good enough players.
Ocelot liked my comment on Instagram.
I don't like Ocelot.
I said hashtag G2 win and I love you. I'm just kidding. I didn't put the I love you. If I see him at the LCS, if we go the first week, should I ask him for a free G2 jersey?
Why in the world would he be an NALCS? Tell me that right now.
Oh no, he said he comes here he comes here a good amount because they have business partners here in North America that are cheaper than the ones in the EU.
I don't know, man. But all
so
around,
if we go to the NALCS and he's there, should I ask for a free G2 jersey?
I'm gonna end it because he's just gonna go on a rant. See you later.